Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's look at an ink today, shall we? Now, today's ink, I have in bottle form, but not the bottle it's supposed to be in. This was provided to me by the wonderful, mysterious benefactor. It's one of the Dromgoole series from Texas, from Houston. It's Noodler's Texas Live Oak Green. And it's a permanent ink. Pretty sure. I don't know if it's an eternal or a bulletproof, but it's definitely permanent, and it's aggressive. And it's a lovely shade of green. I really like the shade of green. I also love the name. I went to a school that was named after the live oak tree. I went to I worked at summer camp called Summer Oaks that was affiliated with that school. California, we're known for our redwoods, but I have a personal love for this ink and the name and the tree and all that. But have you ever liked something and you can't explain, you can't qualify why? I really like this ink, and you'll see what I mean about not being able to qualify it in a little bit. So the two pens I used were these. They're Hero 616s. One had a nib that was broadened by me, and the other one is just sort of the standard one. It has a fairly fine nib. I don't even think I smoothed it. I think this was just as it came out of the box. And there's something about this ink and the color of green that makes it really unique. I really don't have much that looks quite like this. Hang on, let me show you something. So, I may have to edit this. When I say that I don't have anything much like this, so these are my swabs, and just to show you, these are the ones that I have completed tests for. These are all the inks I have in bottle that I've completed. These are all the samples that I've tested and completed and posted. So that's at least like 200 or something. And then these are all the ones I have yet to test, of which there are at least 140. So when I say I don't have anything quite like this, please take it with at least a little authority, because I check. But yeah, so here's Texas Live Oak. And so this has a similar-ish color, these do. They have sort of like a dark green with like a hazy woolliness, but the color is completely different. I don't have anything quite like this color, because you can see that it almost has like some like black in it, but then the black at its deepest almost has like a red quality to it. I really can't explain it. So diatrament, just black-green, doesn't quite hit it. And then I thought I'd compare it to the Warden series by Noodler's, the Bad Green Gator. You can see it's a bit lighter, and it actually doesn't quite shade, and it doesn't quite get as dark, and there's something about this color that I really enjoy. However, the performance, we'll get into that. Let's check out the chromatography. Now here's how you're supposed to do the chromatography. Put the drop of ink, instantly dunk it in water. You can definitely see where the initial drop was, and you can see sort of like this green halo, and then there's gray, and it goes up, and it's this light green into a very dark green. But look at what happens when you let it dry, which is not how you're supposed to do it, but still. I hope you can see this. Do you see that sort of wavy line right there with the like haze of purple? You see that? That's the only thing that moved, so that was curious. But yeah. Anyways, paper test. Top down in density, Clairefontaine, 90 grams per square meter. I will try and hold this still so you can get a good look. Yeah. You see what I'm talking about? About not being able to quantify it? As you can probably tell, I mean, this is Clairefontaine. This is 90 grams. It's extremely dense. And yet we have no shading. In fact, we even have a woolliness. Now, luckily, I like this green, so the fact that there's no shading is fine with me. But also, when you hear permanent ink, and you hear no shading, and you hear 1 second to dry, or 1.5 seconds to dry on Clairefontaine, you know you're dealing with an aggressive ink, which you most certainly are. Now, granted, these things that are coming through, those are the broad, but you can still see in the fine, there's hints of it. So yeah, there's some problems. There's some spread. It's very woolly. There's very near bleed, and this is probably the most dense paper I own. Yeah, but look at this. If you're like me and you like green, I mean, permanent green, and in this lovely dark color, it's fantastic. So yeah, it is absolutely water resistant. And then this is 1/3 bleach. Right here. You see how it got slightly lighter? Yeah, so it's really, really resisty. Next up is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter, where the fine dried almost instantly and the broader, wetter one took 1.5 seconds. But again, you get kind of a woolliness. You get a little bit of a spread. Again, the broad very nearly made it through. But also bear in mind that the flow on this ink, at least for my bottle, because people were like, oh, Texas Black Bat is going to be like sand coming out of your nib. But my Texas Black Bat was very wet. This was also very wet for me. If yours wasn't, if you've tried Texas Live Oak and it wasn't wet for you, can you leave a comment down below? Because I'd like to know. But this was at least a 6, maybe a 6.5. It was really coming out of the nib. It was ready to go. So something to be aware of. But yeah, once again, water test. It's just fantastic. I mean, it left a tiny bit of a haze. Oh, yeah, this is the water test. This is the bleach test. Now you see the bleach test got a little bit lighter, but that's it. Water test got a little hazy. And again, just got a little lighter. So next up is Tomoe River, which is known for being impervious to bleed and feather and spread, essentially. But also known for bringing out shading, which here it finally did. In fact, it even got a little shiny, which is kind of cool. But it also draws out dry times, but this is almost normal on regular paper, so yeah. But I really love this shade of green. It's this wonderful foresty green. It's gorgeous. Yeah, but the fine took 10 seconds to dry, the broad and wet took 16. The thing is, even though this ink is pretty much impervious to bleed, feather, and spread, there is some near show-through on these scrubbies. You see? See how you can almost see like little dots? Now, that is the scrubby, but still. And then this is a very dark green ink, and this is very thin paper. So echo is quite significant, although you can't tell because of the bright light. But yeah, so something to be aware of. But also this paper loves to let ink slide away when you add more water. And if you look here, it did not blink. Nothing. Now the bleach did haze it a little, and it did become sort of a brighter green, but that's about it. That's the only thing that happened there. Now for the next 3 tests, for some reason I decided to use all 3 pens, so we're going to get a bit of a perspective. Now here's the world's worst 20-pound copier paper, where we're back to no shading and sort of a woolly texture, in fact a significant woolly texture, and there was a good deal of spread, so the line width got broader, but they both dried pretty much instantly. So yeah, you see, got kind of bleh. And as you would expect, I mean, this paper bleeds so easily under normal circumstances, so the fact that it was bleeding like this, I really am not shocked at all. But yeah, again, water test, well, actually made it kind of hazy here, which sort of surprised me, but it's still very dark, very clear, very there, didn't feather, didn't explode. Bleach test, hazed it a little, got a little lighter, but that is all. Next up is Mead Notebook Paper, which physically is thinner than the 20-pound paper. But, yeah, it, again, dried pretty much instantly. There's no shading. It's pretty woolly. Camera, what are you doing? Come on, focus. There we go. Sorry about that. My camera's having a bad day. But yeah, there's some spread. And because this ink is so aggressive and this paper is so darn thin, I mean, but what's interesting is if I bring this in close, you see how it's still kind of hazy all through here? It didn't actually render onto the other side. It didn't actually render onto the next page. It would just make writing on the other side of this impossible for legibility's sake. So, yeah. But yeah, there's problems, bleed, feather, spread. Again, the water test Didn't move. The bleach hazed it a little, turned it bright, but that's all. Lastly is Moleskine notebook paper, which can't handle ink on a good day, so never mind an ink like this. I need to bring this close just so you can see. Do you see that? There's something about, I mean, it looks like wet wool, first of all, but there's just something weird about how it acts on this paper. And what was even weirder was these dry times. I can't tell you why it took that long to dry when it dried like instantly on every other paper. And especially because you can tell this was absorbed into the paper because it looks like a sponge. Yep. And this actually rendered onto the page below in a couple places. I remember as I was writing this. So yeah. But also this paper hates ink and it hates water, so together it would absolutely hate them. So the water test actually kind of feathered a bit. It didn't get lighter. Not really, but it, and then the bleach test, it got lighter and actually started to break apart. I don't know. So if you need this to be permanent, maybe don't use Moleskine. So yeah, there you go. There's Texas Live Oak Green from Dromgoole's in Houston. I really like this ink. I really like this ink. But this is what I mean by I can't quantify it because it is not a well-behaved ink. It doesn't do things that I generally like inks to do, you know, like shade or halo or sheen or any of that stuff. It doesn't do that. But I like that I have a permanent green, and I like that I have a permanent green in this color. I just really like it. I can't quantify it. I really like it. So I'm particularly thankful to the wonderful, mysterious benefactor. Thank you for this ink. I'm greatly enjoying it. It is quite wet, it is quite aggressive, so be careful with it. But yeah, for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.